Hey, everybody. It's a Tuesday. It's January the 6th, and you're watching 270 Weather for the 270 area code and beyond. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Chris Allen on this Tuesday evening. Gonna take a look and not spend a whole lot of time on some of these, what we the severe weather threat, as you can see here, is being pushed off to the west, which is a great thing. So the best news that I can give you tonight is that we're not going to have to. I don't think we're going to have to worry about severe weather as we get into Thursday night and Friday, like we first thought was going to happen. But if you followed me very closely in the last few days, I said, this looks to me like the low as it tracks into the Great Lakes is weakening. And it had a more, positive tilt instead of a negative tilt. And it just didn't have the look like most of these storms look, or storm systems look, when they're going to produce severe weather. I don't think that we're like completely out of the woods. I think there still could be somebody that gets a damaging wind or maybe a brief severe thunderstorm warning as the system comes by because it's got a lot of wind. And as I commented last night and showed you, it's got a lot of wind shear. And that is the winds that change direction and speed with height. And that alone, you don't have to have a whole lot of what we call CAPE, or available potential energy, or heating, sun heating the earth. You don't have to have a lot of that. This time of the year, it only takes a little bit to get things going. And then when you've got the wind shear and you've got the available moisture and all of that, well, you could still have something. So I'm not letting us completely off the hook, but it does look better than what we were first looking at. And as you can see here, I'll get my little pen out here, my little marker. This is where the level one, oh, it's going to do that to me now, aren't you? You're going to be, my pen is going to be like, I'm going to show you. All right, let me try that again. So the darker green back here is a level one marginal risk, the lowest on the scale. So that means there is a low end risk for a few damaging winds, and somewhere in there, parts of Missouri, the Boot Hill, southern Illinois, far western Kentucky, far western Tennessee, most of Arkansas, and on down into Mississippi and places like that, there could be a brief little spin up as the cold front comes in. This is Thursday night. So you say, what is this color right here over the 270, most of the 270? Well, it's, as you see here, it's called a general thunderstorm risk. It's not a lieutenant thunderstorm risk. It's not an admiral thunderstorm risk. It's a general thunderstorm risk. Okay, I make fun of it, but it's just to let you know this is just garden variety stuff. So the latest on this is that the Storm Prediction Center and the National Weather Service has, looked at this and agreed with what I was thinking. Not that they checked in with me. I mean, that would be kind of nice, but I'm not the go-to for the weather. I mean, I digress to the Weather Service all the time. Now, there are some meteorologists out there, and some here in Kentucky, that absolutely cannot stand the National Weather Service, and they will do everything that they can to poke the bear and to disagree with them and to go, oh, the Weather Service, they're stupid. they might as well just come out and say they're stupid, because that's how they treat them. They treat them like I don't know, they just treat them awful. And they'll call them out. Oh, I think, the Weather Service doesn't know what they're talking about, but I do. No, I don't. But there are some meteorologists in the state of Kentucky that have that kind of, they're kind of like, look at me. I'm better than they are. They don't know what they're doing. Anyway, so it looks like from what I'm reading and from what I'm seeing, this is their new discussion. Some elevated thunderstorms. There might be locally damaging gust of wind. But this is much like what we've seen in the last couple of threats of strong to severe storms that we had last month in December, and looks like the same thing's going to happen again. So really, this is not a big deal. We'll keep an eye on it though. Now, as we go on and look at rain chances, so here we are. This is let's back it up some. So this would be, this would be tomorrow, day one. Not much there, and it didn't end up being anything today. There were no raindrops really anywhere. Now, this would be tomorrow. And tomorrow late, Wednesday evening, back to the west, some showers will begin to move in. But this is Thursday, and this is when we'll start to pick up on some better rainfall, like to the east of us in the Cumberland Plateau, 8/10 of an inch of rain, or yeah, you could get close to an inch here in Bowling Green. It's going to be in between a half inch and maybe an inch of rain. Yeah, Thursday night. But let's look ahead as we get into, we can go through the next several days. Wait a minute, let me back up to there we go. So this is days 1 and 2, today, tomorrow, into Thursday. And now here we go into Thursday and Friday. And this is taking in the whole kit and caboodle all the way up through Saturday. I still think there's going to be some rain left over early Saturday. So you're going to have a wave of rain on Thursday. Then you're going to have a couple of waves of rain on Friday as the cold front comes through. And then early Saturday, that will be the last bit of rain as the cold front comes through and the colder air comes in. So how much are we talking about? I mean, look at this on the Cumberland Plateau. We're talking about 2.5 inches of rain. Now, collectively, not all at once, granted, but collectively between, say, early Thursday morning through the day on Friday, and then into early Saturday. So once you add all that up, some along the Cumberland Plateau could see 2.5 inches of rain. But look at this, 3 inches of rain. Down in between, say, Cookeville and Knoxville along I-40. I mean, that's a pretty good rainfall. So what about Bowling Green? We're going to be on the 1.8 to inch and a half to 1.8 is what I'm seeing for much of southern Kentucky. Now, west of Interstate 65, going to be less, about 1 1/3 inches back into Butler County. We go back to Muhlenberg County, about 1 inch of rain. It's the amounts come down the further west you go, because the greater setup here for the heaviest of the rain is going to be south and east of Bowling Green. But as we saw with the severe weather outlook, and I'll go back to that, this does not take into consideration heavy rain. This just picks up on all the nuances of any kind of what we call severe weather. damaging wind, hail, tornado threat, all of that. So while we're on the low end of a severe weather threat, we're on the higher end of some maybe heavier rainfall. This is that outlook into day 3, into day 4. There's that remember yesterday when we had that 15% risk of getting severe weather on Friday, Thursday night into Friday? Well, if you haven't seen my shows, TV shows earlier today on News 40, I showed you how that area went from west of Bowling Green, west of Interstate 65, and it's been pushed down into places like Jackson, Tennessee, Memphis, Tennessee. It goes all the way down Florence, Alabama, the Shoals, down to Columbus, Mississippi, Greenwood, Oxford, Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and then all the way down to Jackson, Mississippi, Baton Rouge, Natchez, the home of Jimmy Clower. Oh. So there you go. That's where the more severe weather risk is going to be for Thursday night and Friday. So tomorrow will be within that day 3 window when the Storm Prediction Center will take that map, that graphic, and they'll detail it a little bit better where maybe a marginal level 1 risk is going to be. And I would say in this area that you see there, it's going to be like a level 2 slight risk. That usually is the case with a 15% probabilistic, it's a difficult word to say, probabilistic forecast. 15% doesn't sound like much, but it could end up being a level 2 slight risk with the outlooks coming out tomorrow. And again, this would be for Thursday night into Friday. So the good news is, while we're not going to see maybe the highest risk of severe weather here, it's still going to blow around. We're still going to get the potential for maybe some damaging wind, and we're going to get a lot of rain, an inch or 2 of rain. And we could use it actually, the drought monitor. Let me go back to that because I do want to show that again. It's been a while since I've shown it, and I can show you in the same, let me get to the drought. It's in here somewhere. Hold on. I'm trying to get more used to this. Here are the hazards. There we go, drought. So I'm trying to, now look, okay, remember how long we were in the drought here in Southern Kentucky for the longest time at the end of summer and into fall, and then we got all that rain and the drought went away completely. Well, we are back, part of the area, we are back into what's called the abnormally dry region. And it's been because we've had these, this is just explaining, we've had these little clipper systems come by one after the other, and they've been very, very dry as they pass by. You know, we had one of those today that passed by. Remember, there was at first a little chance of rain, but then it didn't rain at all. So we've had a number of those little clipper systems come in, and most of them have been dry. And so therefore, we've started to get a little dry. We're not in an official drought here, but we're close. As you can see, that yellow indicating abnormally dry conditions. So yeah, we could use some rain, and we're going to get some this weekend. Granted, we are. That's good news. I think it's good news. So, all right, let's check out more about what's going on with the Kentucky Mesonet today. And you can see here we currently have temperatures in the 50s upper 40s. Right now, close to 60 back here into western Kentucky. Uh, Air temperature, maximum air temperature, or the high today at all of these locations, check it out. I mean, well into the mid 60s everywhere. Oh, it felt good. Yeah, it was breezy, but it felt good. It didn't feel good at first. This morning it was chilly when those southwesterly breezes were blowing, but then it warmed up very quickly. How cold was it this morning? It was, wait a minute, did I hit the right one? Minimum. Okay, yeah. So it was as chilly as 31 in Burkesville, but everybody else started out in the mid 40s this morning. So not as cold as it was yesterday morning, but it still felt a little damp, a little chilly this morning until the wind started to pick up. And then, we had all those clouds this morning. The clouds began to break apart mid-afternoon, late afternoon, and it allowed some sun to come through, and so it felt much better. No precipitation anywhere today. Winds have helped, of course, us warm up considerably. Winds are still coming out of the south and southwest right now at 5 to 10. Gusts 10 to 12, but not too bad. Okay, let's go to the maps. Now I'm going to break down for you pretty simply and pretty quickly, hopefully, how all of this is going to play out. Because I do think I hesitate to take us completely out of any kind of strong to severe weather risk, and because I have seen systems before in the winter time or the cold season misbehave in a way to where just when you think this is going to come through and it's not going to be a big deal, some little something happens. So I want us to be cautious of that, but this is not going to be anything that's going to be a big deal. Okay, I guess that's what I'm saying. So it's going to be one of those things where we're still going to have to watch what develops Thursday night and Friday. So it's a setup. This is tonight. You see the little system out west of us. It comes on through tonight, and skies are mainly clear, but I think they'll be partly cloudy overnight. It is going to get cooler, a little cooler tonight. We'll get down into the low 40s behind this front. It's not a big cool down, but it's enough to where I think we could see a little bit of fog overnight tonight and into the early morning hours. See there? Now, I know fog does not stop at the border, at the state border. You see that? This is the Nashville Weather Service office going, these are our counties of responsibility, and the counties that we serve, we're going to put in the mention of patchy fog overnight tonight. Well, it may be the case with that front coming through and putting in a little bit of cool, damp air. But the Weather Service in Louisville is not seeing it. So they did not include it in their forecast or even the forecast discussion. But I'm going to tell you that we could see some fog later tonight, early tomorrow morning. Don't be surprised if it happens. So, what? So, am I disagreeing with the Weather Service after I said I'm not going to disagree with the Weather Service? Well, now wait a minute. Wait a minute. I'm not. Sometimes, whoever the forecaster is at the moment will look at everything and go, maybe not. That's a decision that every weather forecast office, or WFO from the National Weather Service, looks at and decides, maybe, maybe not. But it's just me mentioning it, that we still could have some fog. I'm not disagreeing with anybody. I'm just saying, let's just factor it in because it's a possibility. Okay. Now, by midday tomorrow, high pressure will be centered right over Bowling Green and southern Kentucky. And it's going to be a nice day. Not as breezy tomorrow as it was today. And we'll get up into the mid to upper 50s. Not quite as warm as it was today, but only slightly cooler behind that frontal boundary. Now, we're not going to stay there long. Here is 6 p.m. tomorrow evening, pretty quiet. Now we get into 6 a.m. Thursday morning, and the fun begins. And by that, I mean the winds quickly shift from the south and west. And as you can see, the lines get a little tighter, which means what? What? It gets windy. You're right. Here comes a warm front that's down to our south, and it's going to head north, and it's going to push a lot of that wind and rain off to our north as we get into Thursday afternoon and evening. And there could be a rumble of thunder in there Thursday evening, Thursday night, but I don't foresee us looking at anything that's going to be, too strong or even borderline severe. If anything, that's going to happen back here to the west. There will be some decent rainfall with this first wave as it comes through because we'll be in that warm sector, warm front to the east, cold front back to the west, and then the main system will phase with this system, and this will become what comes through on Friday. So this will be the first little wave of rain and thunderstorms on Thursday evening and Thursday night. Now here we go into Friday, and there's the phasing of the systems. And behind it all will be this really cold air that takes over and produces a lot of snow east of the Rockies and out into the Central Plains. But this is the dominant low, then will take over. And as it pushes through on Friday night, then that is when we're going to find the strongest of the winds and maybe the heaviest of the rains. And if there are any strong storms, it's going to happen right there just before the cold front comes in. Oh, it did the reset on me. Let me back up. Okay, so that's where I was. This is, again, Friday morning. Yes, Friday morning. There will be showers and I would think a few thunderstorms. But this is going to be, I think, a bigger shield of rain. I talked about that last night, of what we call stratiform. I think this is going to be a situation where there's a lot of cloud cover. There's very little cape or surface heating that would produce convection and potential energy to produce severe weather. That's going to be on the low side, but there's going to be a lot of shear. So with that, there will be the momentum when the cold front comes through, acting as a front loader and a scoop that's going to produce maybe a few strong storms or a damaging wind threat, possibly even a little tiny spin up. But as we've seen in the last couple of times this has happened, it really turns out to be not much of a big deal. It's certainly not going to be an up all night, pace the floor kind of thing. Not even close. So let's go. This is Friday morning into Friday evening and Saturday morning. The front comes through. The wind's really whipping here, 30, 40 plus miles per hour. Still rain. Still at least a threat of storms along and ahead of the front, but behind it, it would just be windy showers, windy rains. And then the winds quickly switch over early Saturday morning from the southwest to the west and then the northwest. And that is when the cold air comes in behind the low pressure system. And boy, it's going to be a quick change. I don't think this This is going to be one of those situations where it's like, okay, it's 60, near 70 degrees, and now we're going to watch it slowly fall from the 60s into the 50s, then into the 40s. It's not going to be a gradual, slow and easy kind of thing. Once that front passes through, it is going to be a quick dive. So on Saturday, it's going to be windy, wet, and then turning colder pretty fast. So you see the cold front, yes, but then here comes another little short wave. This is almost like a cold front. It's a reinforced little piece of energy rotating on the back of that low pressure system. And then look, here's another one, more of a cold front. And each time one of these little things pass, it cools us down even more. So yeah, it's going to get cold. Is it going to snow? I don't think so. I mean, some of this is trying to paint a little bit. This is Sunday morning. As you can see here, some of that upper level energy passes by, maybe parts of eastern Kentucky, or even, say, north of the parkways, might see a little snowflake mixed in as the rain passes onto the east or the precipitation passes. So Saturday night into Sunday morning, yeah, somebody might say, I saw a snowflake. Oh my gosh, close schools. It's not going to be that big a deal. Here we go into Monday. High pressure builds back in, and look, just as we get colder, what can you see here? What can you tell me? What does that look like? Yep, high pressure ridge begins to build on Monday, and the winds will start to shift back from the southwest. And look at that. So this is a warm-up starting Monday. And then into Tuesday, and here comes another little, tries to be another little clipper system. You can see it right there. And a little short wave. Another one. Now look, I can tell you that the pattern, the long-range pattern, as we get deeper into January and then into February, I do not see this pattern changing at all. It is going to be one system after another. And it's going to be mostly those little clipper systems that come in. Most of them will be dry. Most of them just change wind direction. We'll get warm, and then a clipper comes in, cools us down for a couple of days. Then we get warm again. Here comes another clipper system. That pattern looks to hold, at least through the rest of January, maybe even the beginning of February. Now, in between, there will be times I think we could get cold enough for something a little bigger to happen. Like I'm talking more wintry and less springy weather. Things really don't shake out until we get, I think, into March. It's the way it is right now. And I don't foresee that changing. So let's take a look at the European model. And, well, all right. So I got to back it up. Use the 12Z run because the 18Z is still loading. Oh, yeah, it's 7 o'clock. No wonder. This is when normally the updated model comes in, the one that we look at that has the latest data that we can look at for what's coming tomorrow and the next few days. But the 12Z run, it's going to be pretty close. I don't think a lot has changed. The 12Z run is from 7 o'clock this morning. The 18Z run is from, this evening. 7 o'clock. So we look at that. Actually, it's 18Z is 1 o'clock. And then we zero everything out at 7. So we're getting close to the newest runs coming out. But I can show you this. There's the cold air to the north, and we are still basking in that really, really warm air. And look how far north that warm air goes. Over the Rockies, over into the northern plains, and then it starts to dive down over the Ohio Valley. So here we go into tomorrow. Here's Wednesday afternoon, a beautiful day. And with that warmer flow continuing here, nothing changes about that. Even though we're going to be a few degrees cooler tomorrow, we'll be in the upper 50s. Not as warm as today. It's still going to feel fairly nice. Now, the big change starts to happen, and you begin to see the flow of moisture then coming in right here. Now, this is a Pacific Southwest Baja California feed of moisture. But that's not the only moisture that we're going to have push into the area. It will be sort of the beginning of what pushes in, but as I stated last night, we're also going to eventually have Gulf moisture push in. And this is where the phasing will take place. That's not the symbol for phasing. I just kind of drew a jiggly line there because that's kind of where one system's going to phase with the other. And then we have the Pacific moisture meeting up with the Gulf moisture. And that is what's going to bring us some pretty decent rainfall. So let's move ahead. This is now as we get into Thursday, you see the low pressure system starting to develop here a little bit better. That is going to help draw in the moisture. And as you can see, first it's Texas, Oklahoma, and then it just, look at this low pressure system as it gets stronger, 995 millibar. And that deepening of the low pressure system is really going to help with the draw of moisture from the Pacific and then eventually with those southerly winds out of the Gulf. Also helping, let's not forget Mr. High Pressure here. Yes, even though high pressure is our fair weather friend, the winds around high pressure go clockwise. And so as it's to the east of us, guess what? It is going to help bring in the Gulf moisture. And that's going to set us up for what's coming Thursday night and into Friday. So we can watch it develop over the plains. The low pressure system, look at it. It goes from 996, 995, 997, but then back to 995. And this is when the phasing of those systems begins to take place. Then it deepens even more, 994. And look at all the wind around this thing. Look at the tight isobars, equal lines of pressure. When you see them that tight and all put together like that, that means this thing is spinning like a top and the winds are tightening, and that means it's going to be windy. But at first, it's winds coming up from the south and west. But then, as we get some colder air beginning to draw down, as you see here, this is the rain-snow line. So we have the big trough now and the much colder air that dives down out of Canada, okay? So behind it, the winds start to become not only tight, but colder. Now, at first, it's just rain because it's warm enough. But then it changes for a lot of people, especially northwest of us. So there's the low. This is Thursday evening. I don't think we're going to see much rain at all Thursday. There is a warm front, and you can plainly see it right here. That is a warm front. And the cold front is going to be kind of back this way. So out ahead of it, though, there's going to be almost these little fronts, these little bands of moisture that push out ahead of the main cold front. So on Thursday evening, we will begin to get showers and maybe some thunderstorms here in the 270. But I don't think anything severe. This may be just some rumbles of thunder as we get into Thursday night and early Friday morning. Notice the low moves way north of us into the Great Lakes. And that's been the path that most low pressure systems have taken so far through the fall season and into early winter. They've all kind of gone that direction. Hardly any of them have come right through here. If, like I said last night, if the low pressure center was closer to us, then I might go, okay, we need to look out. But in this case, I don't see it. The only thing that's really working against us is all the wind that is just kind of wound up around this low pressure system. And that's going to be something that pushes a lot of these showers into the area. And with that dynamic of the wind scooping up and pushing out like a front loader, then there might be these little places along a line of showers or thunderstorms that could produce brief wind damage. We've seen it happen before. You don't need a tornado. You don't need big tornado watches or all this kind. You can have a little something just kind of briefly produce itself, spin up, and in a matter of minutes it's gone, and it maybe knocks a little carport over or produces some roof damage. It's going to be one of those kind of situations. So here we go into Friday mid-afternoon. We have several bands of showers and thunderstorms coming through. The cold front hasn't moved through yet. So here is afternoon Friday into the evening, and you can see there's another surge. Look at that. See that? We think we're done. See that right there? This is early afternoon Friday. Showers kind of start to move away, but then watch what happens. Look at this. Oh, and you see why? Because there's another low pressure system. It's not very strong. That's going to be over Arkansas. Now this one will move through the area, and that's going to push all of this rain, this surge of moisture, up into Kentucky and to Tennessee. And that's going to be the surge of rain I think may produce the most rain. And that's where we could pick up that inch and a half or more. But we're also noticing back here the rain snow line and the big dive. Yep, the big trough. Whoo! Bringing down some much colder air. So it's the clash of these two systems that really is going to be the setup for what we get. And I think, as you saw with the latest update from the Storm Prediction Center, the area most likely to have any kind of severe weather is going to be right around the low pressure system southwest of us. And that's why it got pushed further down away from us. We're going to have so much rain, or what I call stratiform, big blanket of clouds, big blanket of rain, instead of these little individual storms. When we get the little individual storms and then we get daytime heating around those little cells, what we call supercells, that's the red flag. That's what you want to watch out for. I do not see that with this system. This is going to be a big blanket of clouds and rain, and that's going to keep us stable. But the winds will still be gusty enough somebody's going to say, hey, I had, roof shingles blown off or a trampoline blown, or, yeah, it's going to be like that. So here comes our low into Friday night, very early Saturday morning. And you can see it's going to travel pretty quickly, but also still cause some gusty winds to happen here on the underside, if you will, the southern tip of that low as it comes through. But then here comes the main cold front right here. This is going to be the main cold front and the arrival of the much colder air. And so you look at the time up here, and we're talking about 15Z on Saturday. So that is going to be 10 o'clock a.m. Saturday morning. So I think we'll start warm Saturday morning. The temperature may be close to 60 or even the mid 60s, and then it's just going to bottom. It's just going to fall like a rock and bottom out Saturday night. And there you see it. Here comes the cold air. And this is going to be Saturday evening, about 7 o'clock. We should, and the temperatures will be falling, but then the really, really cold air will come in after, say, 7 or 8 o'clock Saturday night. And there's your snowstorm up in the Great Lakes. And at least the model here is trying to, there's a little something, something there. Maybe some flurries. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. Saturday night, early Sunday morning. Just because it's that flow here that takes that dive and that front that just, whew. You're going to feel it though. You're going to know it. But look, this is what I showed you just a moment ago. This is Sunday, but look what happens. Rain snow line retreats. What? Into Monday? You mean we're going to warm up again? Yeah, I just showed you that. Sunday will be chilly. But then by Monday, Sunday will be maybe in the upper 30s at best. Lows will drop into the 20s. But then Monday, I think we warm back into the 40s, maybe even mid 40s. And then the warm air, well, there's a little dive there on Tuesday, next Tuesday. And then we have these little blips here and there with these little pesky little showers, even though this shows a big dive and another low that travels across the Great Lakes. See, here's another clipper system. They just keep coming, and they're going to keep coming. Some may have some moisture, others may not. This one's showing a little moisture on next Thursday, the 15th. Ooh, look at this. Now this is interesting. But look, it's a long way off. I mean, it's showing some snow around the 15th. That would be next Thursday. Does that mean it's going to happen? No. But with the flow that's coming, it does look a little interesting that we have these little series of systems coming through, and each one looks like it's just cold enough for some snow production. But it's too soon to say, okay? So I'm not going to go there yet. Not going to go there yet. All right. Let's go with the blender. And let me pull myself out of this. Sorry about that. I forgot I left that up. Let me pull myself out of this. I'm kind of in the way. It's not the first time I've been told I'm in the way. Let me move myself down here. Well, let me pull myself over here. Now I'm not so much in the way. I like that I can do that on the fly. It helps. Okay, now you're seeing everything kind of stair step. You see the highs here the next few days, 60 tomorrow, close to 60, then close to 70 as we get into Thursday and the Friday. That if we hit 70 on Friday, it would equal the record high of 70 set back in 1930. But then we'll hit an early high of 61, 60, 62 or 3 early Saturday, and then the temperatures start to nosedive. Notice we go from 61 Saturday morning, and then we're down to 31, a 30-degree drop. You can see it here into Sunday morning, and then only getting up to the upper 30s Sunday. Little bit of moderation here after that, 40s, around 50. But really, these temperatures are more where we're supposed to be for the middle of January. Cold nights, yep, you can see some 20s and 30s here as we get into that time period. But, I mean, again, this is kind of where we're supposed to be for this time of the year. Okay. Let's see here. Let me get look through some of your comments here. Okay, I would not ever show this one on TV, but I'll show it here because it's my podcast. Mother Nature going through menopause again, hot then cold. Okay. Send your cards and letters to T. Adams, 1227, address. Okay, we get what you're saying. Let's look at O'Connell Terrence. Is it Terrence O'Connell or is it O'Connell Terrence? I agree, snow. Love it. Need snow. Okay, well, we might get a little somewhere in there. Here's Leslie. I'm over this warm weather. I want snow and lots of it. Sorry, snow haters. And look at the look on her face. She wants snow. Leslie wants snow. I love it. I love when you guys just like, you just put it right out there just like I do. See, the thing is on television, I can't just put it out there. You know, there's a limit. I'm limited on time and I'm limited on what I can say, but here, I just let her rip. Here's Anita. There's no reason to worry about the weather because there's nothing we can do about it. Anita, you're so wise. You're really the simplistic sentence there. There's nothing we can do about it. So why worry about it? It's simplistic, but it's very wise. Thank you, Anita, for being the voice of reason in the room. Let's see here. Kirk. Very detailed as always, Chris. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it takes me anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes, but hopefully by the time you're through watching it, you have a pretty good idea of what's going on. On TV, I have 2 to 3 minutes, and that's it. I can't explain it all in 2 to 3 minutes. I try my best. Mike Hogan. Chris, buddy, temperatures going up and down has made me sick, so I wish Mother Nature would make up her mind. Well, she's a bit fickle. She's always been fickle, but she's very fickle right now. Yeah, so I'm just kind of looking at some of these other comments coming in. Here's Amiable Mimi. I like the name. Amiable Mimi. Thanks for keeping us informed, Chris. Good to have you tell us the real weather. Well, I try. All right. Let's see what else we got. Time for maybe one more. Oh, here's Kim Stewart. She's praying for snow. Notice she's got her hands. She's praying for snow. Well, Kim, I think you're going to get your prayers answered by the middle of the month or toward the middle and end of the month. Here is it Shandice? Shandice. I've never heard that name before. That's unique. Traveling next Thursday, we'll be watching the update. I hope to keep you updated on when you travel next Thursday because it could be a little interesting. And also interesting is R&R Controls because they want to make sure that when your power goes off, you're able to keep running. You're able to keep going. Your business keeps running. Your home keeps running. If you had one of these Generac generators, then you could. Because within seconds of your power going off, that right there is going to kick in because it's wired to your house and wired to your business. And it ensures that you can keep everything on, everything, because they're powerful enough and big enough to keep everything running. That way you don't have to go out and buy one of these little generators that you have to, like your lawnmower, you have to, and you have to hit that little choke and throttle on it and make sure that it's got plenty of gas in it and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, these Generac generators, you don't have to, it's automatic within seconds. And R&R Controls can talk to you about putting one in at your house or your business. So why not give them a call? It's free to call them, and they can even come out and take a look at your place and see what you need. 270-777-2024. Simple number to remember. 270-777-2024. Because with R&R Controls, you'll never be without power because they will keep the lights and your refrigerator and your computers and your TVs and everything running flawlessly. If you ever get into a storm and the power goes off, you keep going. It's a beautiful thing. Also beautiful, you folks. Thank you for being here. Every time I do 270 weather, I try to be every night, but some nights it's just kind of like gets late. And if I've had a lot of meetings or things going on at work before I come home or things here at home going on, then there's going to be a few nights sometimes I don't get to it. And I only do that if there's not threatening weather. I just want you to know that. If there's threatening weather, I'm here. I'm here. Or I'm at the TV station doing weather, if it's that bad. So, anyway, thank you guys. Appreciate you watching 270 Weather. Thank you. God bless you. Remember, you can support me any way you want to. YouTube, Facebook, there's little things there. You can send stars. You can send little things just to help me, keep up the work. All right. Thank you. God bless you. And don't forget, I'll see you. Hopefully you'll see me tomorrow morning on News 40 at 6 a.m., 9 a.m., and noon. Until then, God bless.